Human teen saves alien millionaire's pregnant wife. His request brings the tycoon to tears. Jason Mercer stared at the golden ticket in his hand, still not quite believing his luck. The school lottery had been a last-minute fundraiser for the athletics department, and he'd only bought a ticket because Coach Harrington had practically begged the whole track team to participate. "Congratulations again on winning passage aboard the Celestial Voyager, young man," Principal Donovan had announced at the assembly, his voice booming through the auditorium. "The most luxurious intergalactic passenger train in the Orion Arm." Now, standing at the boarding platform of New Seattle's interstellar transit hub, Jason felt wildly out of place. At 15, he towered over most boys his age at 6'1", his athletic build the result of years of competitive running. But here, surrounded by elegantly dressed aliens and wealthy humans in business attire, his simple dark blue t-shirt and jeans made him feel like he'd shown up to a formal dinner in his gym clothes. "Boarding pass, sir?" The attendant, a tall, thin being with 4 arms and copper-colored skin, extended one of his upper limbs. Yeah, here you go." Jason handed over his ticket, trying not to stare at the alien's compound eyes. The attendant's pupils dilated as he scanned the ticket. "First class?" "Very good, sir. Right this way." First class? Jason hadn't even known there were different sections. He followed the attendant through a series of gleaming corridors until they reached a cabin that looked like something out of a luxury hotel. "Refreshments will be served shortly after departure. The journey to Proxima Station will take approximately 8 hours. Enjoy your trip, sir." Left alone, Jason wandered around the cabin, running his fingers over the plush seating and holographic entertainment controls. Through the large viewport, he could see the spaceport bustling with activity. This was his first time off-world. Hell, his first time leaving the Pacific Northwest. The gentle hum of the train's engines signaled their imminent departure. Jason settled into a seat near the viewport, eager to watch the Earth fall away as they ascended. The cabin door slid open, and Jason's breath caught in his throat. A female alien with luminous blue skin entered, her movements graceful despite her clearly pregnant state. Her bright blue eyes met his briefly before she took a seat across the aisle. Her long silver hair cascaded down her back, contrasting with her form-fitting gray-green uniform. Jason tried not to stare, but he'd never seen anyone like her before. Her species wasn't one he recognized from his xenobiology classes, though admittedly, he hadn't paid much attention in that course. First time on the Voyager? Her voice was melodic, with an accent that made even simple English sound exotic. "First time off Earth, actually," Jason admitted with a nervous laugh. She smiled, revealing teeth that seemed to shimmer like mother of pearl. "You chose an excellent maiden voyage. The Celestial Voyager offers the finest views of the solar system's exit corridor." "I didn't exactly choose it. I won the ticket in a school lottery." "Fortune favors you, then." She shifted slightly, one hand resting on her swollen belly. "I'm Nara, by the way." "Jason, nice to meet you." Their conversation continued casually as the train departed, accelerating smoothly into orbit. Inara explained she was a Lumidian, returning to her homeworld after a diplomatic mission on Earth. Jason found himself relaxing, even throwing in a few jokes that made her laugh, a sound like wind chimes that made his chest feel warm. "Your species fascinates me," she said after a while. "Humans are so adaptable, so resilient. My husband studies your history extensively." "Your husband?" Jason's eyes flicked to her pregnant belly. "Yes, he's meeting me at Proxima Station. He couldn't come to Earth. Too many business obligations." She smiled fondly. "He's quite important back home." As they talked, more passengers filtered into the cabin, mostly Lumidians like Inara, all in similar uniforms, though less ornate than hers. They regarded Jason with curious glances, but kept their distance. The journey proceeded smoothly for the first few hours. Jason was enjoying a meal of what the attendant called Earth-compatible delicacies when the first tremor shook the train. His drink sloshed over the rim of its glass. "Just a bit of turbulence," Inara reassured him, though her expression betrayed concern. The second tremor was stronger, accompanied by a metallic groaning sound that seemed to reverberate through the entire structure. Warning lights flashed, and an automated voice announced something in a language Jason didn't understand. "What's happening?" he asked, gripping his seat as a third violent shake threw several passengers to the floor. Inara's face had paled to a lighter blue. Engine malfunction. They're saying she never finished her sentence. The next impact was catastrophic. The cabin lurched sideways, artificial gravity fluctuating wildly. Jason was thrown from his seat, slamming into the wall, and when he regained his senses seconds later, chaos had erupted. The Lumidians were panicking, shouting in their native tongue, and in the center of the cabin, Inara lay motionless on the floor, one hand still protectively curved around her belly. None of the other aliens moved to help her. They stood frozen, seemingly paralyzed by fear or protocol. Jason didn't hesitate. He scrambled across the tilted floor to her side, grateful for the first aid training Coach Harrington had insisted on for the whole track team. Inara, can you hear me? He checked her pulse, present but weak. Her breathing was shallow. As the train continued to shake around them, Jason knew he had to act fast. The life of this alien woman and her unborn child might depend on what he did next. Jason's hands moved with surprising steadiness as he checked Inara's vitals. The train continued to shudder around them, emergency lights casting an eerie blue glow across the cabin. The other Lumidians remained frozen in place, their luminescent skin pulsing with what Jason assumed was fear. "I need help here!" Jason shouted, looking up at the nearest alien. "Does anyone have medical training?" A tall, male Lumidian finally stepped forward, his movements hesitant. "Our physiology, it's complex. We don't typically intervene without proper medical authority." "Well, there's no medical authority here right now," Jason snapped. "And she needs help. Now." The Lumidian knelt beside him, his expression conflicted. "I am Naren, her security detail. I can advise, but our customs forbid physical intervention with a high-status pregnant female except by certified healers." Jason fought back frustration. "Look, I don't care about your customs right now. She's unconscious, and that can't be good for the baby." Naren's eyes widened. Yes, you're right." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Her vital signs should pulse with a dual rhythm, her own and the child's. Check the pulse point at the base of her throat, not her wrist." Following the instructions, Jason found the spot, a slight depression where Inara's collarbones met. There he felt it, two distinct pulses, one rapid and faint, the other slower but weakening. "The baby's heartbeat is strong, but hers is fading," Jason said, recalling his first aid training. "She needs oxygen." "The emergency supplies," Naren pointed to a compartment near the ceiling. "There should be respiratory assistance devices." Jason scrambled to the compartment, retrieving what looked like a transparent mask connected to a small canister. Naren guided him through attaching it to Inara's face, explaining that Lumidians processed oxygen differently than humans. "Their blood carries less oxygen but distributes it more efficiently," Naren explained, "except during pregnancy, when the child demands more resources." As Jason adjusted the mask, he noticed a small medical scanner among the supplies. He activated it and passed it over Inara's body, the device projecting holographic readings he couldn't understand. "What does this say?" he asked, showing Naren. The Lumidian's expression grew grave. "Her neural pathways are disrupted. The gravitational fluctuations have affected her equilibrium system. It's more sensitive during pregnancy." "So it's like extreme vertigo?" Jason asked. "That's why she passed out." "Yes, but more dangerous. If her neural pathways don't restabilize, both she and the child could suffer permanent damage." Jason thought quickly. "In humans, we'd elevate the feet, stabilize the head, and provide gentle stimulation to the pressure points." He looked at Naren. "Would that work for her?" "Perhaps, but the pressure points are different." Naren hesitated, then seemed to make a decision. "I will guide you. This violates our protocols, but the situation demands it." Under Naren's careful instruction, Jason positioned his fingers at specific points along Inara's temples and the base of her skull. He applied gentle pressure in a rhythmic pattern, feeling a slight tingling in his fingertips as he did so. "Her species has bioelectric neural pathways," Naren explained. "You're essentially helping to reset her system." The train lurched again, nearly throwing Jason off balance, but he maintained his position. "What happened to the train anyway?" "We passed through an uncharted energy field," another Lumidian offered from nearby. "The engines are attempting to compensate, but the gravitational stabilizers were affected. As Jason continued the pressure therapy, he noticed Inara's eyelids beginning to flutter. Her skin, which had dulled to a pale blue, slowly regained its luminescence. "It's working," he murmured. Suddenly, her eyes opened fully, bright blue and disoriented. She gasped, one hand immediately moving to her belly. "The baby," she started. "Is fine," Jason assured her. "Its heartbeat remained strong the whole time." Relief washed over her features. "You helped me?" "He intervened when protocol prevented us," Naren admitted, his tone a mixture of shame and admiration. Inara's gaze fixed on Jason with new intensity. "You have natural healing abilities, Jason of Earth. Your touch, it carries energy our healers train years to develop." Before Jason could respond, the ship's communications system crackled to life. An automated voice announced in multiple languages that the gravitational stabilizers had been reset and normal function was returning. "We'll be arriving at Proxima Station in 30 minutes, the announcement continued. "Medical teams will be standing by." Inara sat up slowly with Jason's assistance. "My husband will want to thank you personally," she said, her voice still weak but determined. "What you did, it's unprecedented." "I just did what anyone would do," Jason replied, suddenly self-conscious about the attention from the entire cabin of aliens. "No," Naren interjected. "What you did is what only a human would do. Your species acts on instinct and compassion, where ours is bound by hierarchy and protocol." He bowed slightly. "We have much to learn from your kind." Yay. As the train stabilized and began its final approach to Proxima Station, Jason helped Inara to a more comfortable position. The other Lumidians now regarded him with open curiosity and respect, the earlier fear replaced by something like wonder. "Your husband," Jason said quietly to Inara, "you mentioned he's important?" A small smile played across her lips. "Thalen Vox is one of the wealthiest businessmen in the Orion Arm, and he values loyalty and courage above all else." She reached out, her slender blue fingers grasping his hand. "You've earned both today, Jason of Earth, and Thalen Vox never forgets a debt." The arrival platform at Proxima Station buzzed with activity as the celestial Voyager docked. Jason helped Inara to her feet, still supporting her weight as medical personnel rushed aboard. The Lumidian medics moved with practiced efficiency, their expressions changing from professional detachment to surprise when they saw a human assisting their high-status patient. "This is the one I told you about," Inara explained to the lead medic. "The human with the healing touch." Before Jason could protest the exaggerated description, the crowd on the platform parted and an imposing figure strode forward. Thalen Vox stood nearly 7 feet tall, his emerald skin gleaming under the station lights. Unlike the softer features of his wife, Thalen's face was angular and stern, with eyes that seemed to calculate everything they observed. "My wife," he said, his deep voice resonating as he approached, "and my heir. Both safe," Inara assured him, reaching for his hand. "Thanks to this human boy." Thalen's piercing gaze shifted to Jason, who fought the urge to step back. "You have my gratitude, young human. I am Thalen Vox." "Jason Mercer, sir, I just did what anyone would." "No," Thalen interrupted. "According to Naren's report, you did what no Lumidian would dare. Our customs sometimes become our limitations." He placed a hand on Jason's shoulder, the gesture formal yet sincere. "Come, we will speak more at my residence." Before Jason could process what was happening, he found himself whisked away in a private transport, surrounded by Vox security personnel. The vehicle glided silently through the upper levels of Proxima Station, a massive space habitat that served as the gateway to the Lumidian home system. At the Vox estate, a sprawling complex that occupied an entire sector of the station, Jason was given guest quarters that made his family's entire house back on Earth seem like a closet by comparison. As he marveled at the luxury around him, a soft chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal a female Lumidian whose appearance momentarily stunned Jason. Unlike Inara's soft blue luminescence, this woman's skin shimmered with a subtle violet hue. Her silver hair was shorter, framing a face with sharper, more defined features that somehow managed to be both alien and breathtakingly beautiful. "So you're the human hero," she said, her voice carrying a musical quality different from Inara's more formal tone. "I'm Tara, Thalen's sister and chief research scientist. I'm Jason, and I'm not a hero. Save the modesty, Tara interrupted with a dismissive wave. It doesn't work on me. I've studied humans extensively. She circled him slowly, her bright eyes analyzing every detail. Those specimens like you rarely make it to my lab. Specimens? Jason raised an eyebrow. I'm not here to be dissected. Tara's laughter was unexpected, a bright, genuine sound. Of course not. But you must understand my scientific curiosity. Humans who can interface with Lumidian neural pathways are exceedingly rare. Interface with... What are you talking about? What you did for Inara. Naren described it in detail. Tara stepped closer, her scent reminiscent of something like cinnamon and electricity. You channeled your own bioelectric field to stabilize hers. Most humans can't do that. Jason felt a strange flutter in his stomach as she moved within inches of him. I just applied pressure where Naren told me to. And yet, she said, reaching up to touch his temple with slender fingers, something in you resonated with her. I'd very much like to understand how. The contact sent a tingling sensation down Jason's spine. Not unpleasant, but definitely foreign. He stepped back instinctively. Sorry, Tara said, though her smile suggested she wasn't. Humans have different personal space requirements, another fascinating cultural difference. Before Jason could respond, another chime announced Thalen's arrival. The Lumidian businessman entered, now dressed in more casual attire that still managed to exude authority. I see you've met my impulsive sister, Thalen said, his stern expression softening slightly. Tara, I told you to wait until our guest had rested. Science waits for no one, brother, she replied with a shrug, especially not when presented with such an interesting subject. Thalen turned to Jason. You must forgive Tara. Her enthusiasm for her research sometimes overshadows her manners. It's fine, Jason said, finding himself oddly drawn to Tara's directness. What exactly do you research anyway? Human Lumidian biological compatibility, she answered promptly. Specifically the potential for therapeutic applications. Your species has remarkable adaptive capabilities that could revolutionize our medical practices. Which brings me to why I've brought you here, Thalen interjected. Jason Mercer, I owe you a debt for saving my wife and unborn child. In our culture, such a debt must be repaid. Name your desire, and if it is within my considerable power, it shall be yours. Jason blinked, unprepared for such an offer. I don't need anything, really. I was just in the right place at the right time. Nonsense, Thalen insisted. Everyone desires something. As Jason struggled to formulate a response, an alarm blared throughout the complex. Thalen's wrist device illuminated, projecting a holographic security alert. Perimeter breach, he said, his voice instantly hardening. Tara, take our guest to the secure level. What's happening? Jason asked as Tara grabbed his arm. Someone who doesn't want my brother's heir to be born, she replied grimly, pulling him toward a concealed doorway. And apparently, they're not happy about the human who helped ensure that will happen. As they hurried through hidden corridors, Jason caught glimpses of security personnel mobilizing. Tara's grip on his arm was firm, her earlier scientific detachment replaced by protective determination. Why would anyone want to harm Inara or her baby? Jason asked as they descended into what appeared to be a reinforced bunker. Tara's violet skin pulsed with emotion. Politics, economics, xenophobia? Take your pick. My brother's marriage to Inara was controversial. Some Lumidian purists believe mixing bloodlines weakens our species. But Inara is Lumidian too. From a different clan with different genetic markers. Tara sealed the bunker door behind them. And now, with you demonstrating unprecedented compatibility with our physiology, certain factions will feel even more threatened. As the security systems engaged around them, Jason realized his simple train journey had thrust him into something far more complex than he could have imagined. In the way Tara looked at him, equal parts scientific curiosity and something more personal, suggested his involvement was just beginning. The secure bunker hummed with energy as emergency systems cycled through their protocols. Jason sat on a sleek metallic bench, watching Tara monitor the security feeds on a holographic display. Her violet skin pulsed with subtle bioluminescence that seemed to intensify with her concentration. "Your brother has impressive security," Jason remarked, trying to break the tense silence. "When you're as wealthy and controversial as Thalen, you need it." Tara's fingers danced across the interface. "The attackers appear to be Ancestral Order operatives, Lumidian purists who believe my brother's marriage threatens our genetic legacy." Jason moved closer to examine the feeds. They went to a lot of trouble just to stop a baby from being born. "It's not just the baby." Tara turned to face him, her luminous eyes studying him intently. "It's what you represent. A human who can interface with our neural pathways challenges their entire worldview." The proximity between them in the confined space made Jason acutely aware of her scent, that strange mix of cinnamon and electricity that seemed uniquely hers. He tried to focus on the security situation, but found his thoughts drifting to the way her skin shimmered when she moved. "How long do we need to stay down here?" he asked, clearing his throat. "Until Thalen's security team neutralizes the threat." Tara's lips curved into a subtle smile. "Are you uncomfortable being alone with me, Jason Mercer?" "No, just processing everything that's happened. 24 hours ago, I was a normal kid in Seattle. Now I'm hiding in a bunker with an alien scientist while other aliens try to kill us." Tara laughed, that same bright, genuine sound from earlier. "Your species adapts remarkably well to stress. It's one of your most fascinating traits." "Speaking of fascinating traits," Jason said, seizing the opportunity to change the subject, "what did you mean about me interfacing with Lumidian neural pathways?" Tara's expression shifted to one of scientific enthusiasm. "When you helped Inara, you did something most humans physically cannot do. Your bioelectric field synchronized with hers, creating a healing resonance." She stepped closer, her voice dropping. "I've been researching such possibilities for years, but never found a human subject with the capability. And why is that important? Because Lumidian children are increasingly being born with a neural degenerative condition we call the fading." Her eyes darkened. "Our healers can slow it, but not stop it. My research suggests human bioelectric patterns might hold the key to a cure." Jason's mind raced with the implications. "And Thalen's baby? Is it at risk?" "All Lumidian children are at risk now," she said softly, "including my brother's heir." The revelation hung between them as the security alert suddenly ceased. Tara checked the display, her posture relaxing slightly. "The threat has been contained. We can return upstairs." As they exited the bunker, Jason made his decision. When they reached Thalen's private chamber, where the businessman waited with a still-recovering Inara, Jason knew exactly what his wish would be. "Have you decided what you desire in repayment, Jason Mercer?" Thalen asked formally. Jason straightened his shoulders. "Yes, I want to study with Tara. I want to help find a cure for the fading." The room fell silent. Inara's hand moved protectively to her belly, while Thalen's stern features registered genuine surprise. But it was Tara's reaction that caught Jason's attention. A pulse of bright violet light that swept across her skin like a wave. "You wish to help our children?" Thalen asked carefully. "When you could ask for wealth, or technology, or passage to any world in the galaxy?" "I have a gift that might save lives," Jason said simply. "Seems wrong not to use it." Thalen exchanged a glance with his wife, then turned back to Jason with an expression the human couldn't quite read. "Your request is unexpected and deeply honorable." His voice caught slightly. "You understand this would mean staying here, far from your home?" "I can arrange communication with my parents," Jason said, "and if I can help even one child, it'll be worth it." To Jason's shock, he saw moisture gathering in Thalen's eyes, tears that the powerful alien quickly blinked away. "Then it shall be done. You will work with Tara, with all resources at your disposal." 5 years later. Jason adjusted the calibration on the neural scanner, his movements practiced and confident. At 20, he'd grown into his lanky teenage frame, the years of work in Tara's laboratory building, lean muscle beneath his lab coat. His once short hair now fell past his ears, often tied back during delicate procedures. "The resonance pattern is holding," he noted, watching the holographic display above their latest patient, a Lumidian child showing early signs of the fading. "Excellent!" Tara moved beside him, her violet luminescence brightening with satisfaction. "Your technique has improved significantly." "I had a good teacher," Jason replied with a smile. Their relationship had evolved over the years, from mentor-student to research partners. Together, they had developed a treatment protocol that showed promising results in slowing the fading's progression. Not yet a cure, but a significant advancement that had already helped dozens of Lumidian children, including Thalen's son, Kieran. As the treatment session concluded and the child's parents took him home, Tara and Jason found themselves alone in the lab. The air between them hummed with the familiar tension that had been building for months. "You never speak of returning to Earth," Tara observed, organizing instruments with meticulous precision. "Earth is still home, but—" Jason paused, choosing his words carefully. "I've found purpose here." "Connection?" Tara's luminescence pulsed subtly. "Connection to your work? Or something else?" Jason met her gaze directly. "You know the answer to that?" Years of working in close proximity, sharing triumphs and failures, had forged a bond between them that transcended professional collaboration. The cultural differences that once seemed insurmountable had become fascinating points of discovery. Jason had learned the nuances of Lumidian expression, how the patterns of light beneath their skin revealed emotions they rarely verbalized. Tara had studied human body language with equal fascination, often standing closer than human social norms dictated, her scientific curiosity gradually blending with personal interest. "Lumidian tradition dictates a formal declaration of intent," Tara said, her voice taking on a husky quality Jason had come to recognize. "But I find myself increasingly drawn to human directness." She stepped closer, the space between them charged with possibility. Jason felt the familiar tingle when near her, part bioelectric resonance, part something far more primal. "Human directness, huh?" Jason smiled, reaching out to trace the luminescent patterns on her forearm. "Like telling you I've wanted to kiss you for about 3 years now?" Tara's skin brightened at his touch. "That would qualify, yes." The kiss, when it finally happened, sent cascades of light rippling across Tara's skin, in a visible manifestation of the connection that had been building between them for years. News of Jason and Tara's relationship spread through Proxima Station with the speed of light. What had begun as a private connection between two researchers quickly became the subject of public scrutiny. For some Lumidians, their union represented hope, living proof that humans and their kind could share more than just diplomatic relations. For others, particularly the ancestral order, it was the ultimate abomination. "You've become quite the political lightning rod," Thalen remarked one evening as he joined Jason on the observation deck overlooking the station's central hub. Below them, the diverse population of the station moved through their daily routines. Humans, Lumidians, and a dozen other species coexisting in the carefully maintained artificial environment. "That wasn't my intention," Jason replied, watching a group of Lumidian children playing with a human child in one of the garden areas. Among them was Kieran, Thalen's son, now a healthy 5-year-old showing no signs of the fading thanks to the treatment protocols Jason and Tara had developed. "Intentions rarely matter in politics," Thalen said with the weariness of someone who had navigated those waters for decades. "The ancestral order has been using your relationship with my sister to rally support against what they call human contamination of our species." Jason frowned. "Our research has saved lives, including your son's." "Which is precisely why I've defended your work publicly." Thalen's emerald skin darkened slightly, a sign of intense emotion Jason had learned to recognize over the years. "But now I face challenges in the Lumidian High Council. Counselor Marin has formally questioned whether I've allowed human influence to compromise my judgment." "Marin? The same one who opposed your marriage to Anera?" Thalen nodded grimly. "The very same. He claims your treatments are merely masking symptoms while fundamentally altering Lumidian physiology in ways we don't understand." "That's ridiculous. We've documented every aspect of the treatment process." "Science matters little when fear is the motivator." Thalen placed a hand on Jason's shoulder, a gesture that had evolved from formal to familial over the years. "I don't tell you this to worry you, but to prepare you. The political climate is shifting." Later that night, Jason returned to the quarters he now shared with Tara. Their living space blended human and Lumidian aesthetics. Earth plants alongside bioluminescent Lumidian art, comfortable human furniture modified to accommodate Lumidian physiology. It was a physical manifestation of the bridge they'd built between their worlds. He found Tara reviewing research data, her skin pulsing with the concentrated violet light that indicated deep focus. She looked up as he entered, her expression immediately softening. "You're troubled," she observed, setting aside her work. "Your brother thinks we're becoming political targets." Jason sank onto their couch, running a hand through his hair. "Counselor Marin is using our relationship to challenge Thalin's position?" Tara moved to sit beside him, her body radiating the comforting warmth that was unique to Lumidians. "Marin has always resented my brother's progressive policies. This is merely his latest strategy." "It's more than that." Jason took her hand, watching the ripples of light that followed his touch across her skin. "The ancestral order has been growing more vocal. There were protesters outside the research facility today." "I know. Security alerted me." Tara's fingers intertwined with his. "Does it make you reconsider your choice to stay?" Jason looked at her, taking in the delicate features that had become so dear to him. Their physical differences, her luminescent violet skin against his tanned, human complexion, her silver hair contrasting with his light brown, had long since ceased to matter. What remained was the profound connection they'd built, layer by layer, over 5 years of working and growing together. "Not for a second," he assured her, leaning in to kiss her. The familiar cascade of light rippled across her skin at the contact, a visible manifestation of the pleasure they found in each other. Their evening together was tender, an affirmation of the bond they'd formed despite the biological and cultural differences that might have kept them apart. In the privacy of their quarters, those differences became points of discovery and delight rather than barriers. The unique way Tara's skin illuminated with patterns of light during intimate moments had fascinated Jason from their first night together. For Tara, the intensity of human emotional responses, so direct and unfiltered compared to Lumidian reserve, was equally captivating. Morning came with an urgent alert from the laboratory. Jason and Tara arrived to find security personnel swarming the facility. "There was a breach overnight," explained the security chief, a stern Lumidian male named Perrin. "Someone accessed your research database." "Was anything taken?" Tara asked, immediately moving to check the systems. "Not taken. Corrupted." Perrin's expression was grim. Several key files were altered in ways that might not have been immediately noticeable. Jason felt a chill. "The treatment protocols?" "Among others." Perrin nodded. "If the sabotage files had been used for treatment, the children would have been harmed instead of helped," Tara finished, her skin paling to a lighter violet with distress. As they worked to restore the uncorrupted data from secure backups, a message arrived from Thalin, requesting their immediate presence at the High Council chambers. The summons was unprecedented. Humans were rarely permitted in the sacred political space of Lumidian governance. "This can't be good," Jason muttered as they hurried through the station's diplomatic sector. "Stay calm," Tara advised. "Remember that in Lumidian politics, composure is interpreted as strength." The council chambers were imposing, a vast circular room with 13 elevated seats arranged in a semicircle. Thalin occupied one of these, his posture rigid with formal dignity. Across from him sat an older Lumidian with deep green skin and cold eyes that Jason immediately recognized as Counselor Marin. "The council recognizes Tara Vox and Jason Mercer," announced the chief counselor, a female Lumidian with skin so pale blue it was almost white. As they stepped forward, Jason noticed the gallery was filled with observers, both supporters and opponents of their work. Among them, he spotted several members of the ancestral order, their traditional robes marking them clearly. "You have been summoned," continued the chief counselor, "to address serious allegations regarding your research and personal conduct." Marin rose from his seat, his voice carrying throughout the chamber. "Evidence has come to light that human influence has corrupted not only our research protocols, but the very bloodline of one of our most prominent families." The accusation hung in the air, a challenge that demanded response. Jason felt Tara tense beside him, but her voice when she spoke was steady. "Our research has saved countless Lumidian children from the fading. As for personal matters, they are precisely that, personal. When they affect the future of our species, they become public concern, Marin countered. The human has inserted himself into our society, our science, and now seeks to alter our very genetic future. Jason realized with sudden clarity that this confrontation had been inevitable from the moment he'd asked to stay and work with Tara. The question now was whether everything they'd built together would withstand the storm that had finally arrived. The council chamber fell into expectant silence after Counselor Marin's accusation. Jason felt the weight of hundreds of Lumidian eyes upon him, some hostile, others curious, a few supportive. He glanced at Tara, drawing strength from her presence, then stepped forward. "Honorable Council," he began, his voice steadier than he felt. "I stand before you as both outsider and insider, someone who has lived among you for 5 years, yet brings a human perspective to your challenges." "A perspective we neither requested nor require," Marin interjected. "With respect, Counselor," Jason continued, undeterred, "if that were true, hundreds of Lumidian children might not be alive today." A murmur rippled through the gallery. Jason pressed his advantage. "When I first arrived here, I was just a teenager who happened to be in the right place at the right time. I knew nothing about Lumidian physiology or the fating. What I did know was that someone needed help, and I could provide it." Jason moved to the center of the chamber, where a holographic display activated at his approach. "I've analyzed the corrupted data from our laboratory. The sabotage carries a specific digital signature, one that matches communications sent from your private terminal, Counselor Marin." Gasps and exclamations filled the room. Marin rose to his feet, his green skin darkening with anger. "This is outrageous!" The human makes baseless accusations to distract from his own. "The evidence has been verified by 3 independent security protocols," Jason interrupted, projecting the analysis onto the chamber's main display. "The same signature appears in communications with known ancestral order operatives dating back 3 years. The chief counselor leaned forward. "These are serious allegations, Counselor Marin." "Fabrications," Marin snarled. "The human manipulates our systems as easily as he manipulates our people." Thalen stood from his council seat. "If I may, Chief Counselor, there is something the council should see." At Thalen's gesture, a holographic recording materialized in the center of the chamber. Jason recognized himself, 5 years younger, standing awkwardly in Thalen's private quarters on the day they'd first met. "You have saved my wife and unborn child," the recorded Thalen said formally. "Name your desire, and if it is within my considerable power, it shall be yours." The younger Jason shifted uncomfortably. "I don't need anything, really. I was just in the right place at the right time." "Nonsense," Thalen insisted. "Everyone desires something." The teenage Jason seemed to consider for a moment, then spoke with unexpected conviction. "Anara mentioned that Lumidian children are suffering from some kind of neural disease. If I really do have some ability that can help, I'd like to learn how to use it, not for money or fame or anything, just to help." Thalen's recorded expression showed clear surprise. "You wish to stay here, far from your home and family, to help children you've never met?" "Well, yeah," young Jason replied simply. "If I can make a difference, how could I not try?" The recording ended, leaving the council chamber in profound silence. Jason saw many Lumidians in the gallery exchanging glances, their skin pulsing with the subtle light patterns that indicated deep emotional response. "This was the wish that brought tears to my eyes," Thalen said into the silence. "Not a request for wealth or power, but the simple desire to help our children. In 5 years, that wish has saved hundreds of lives, including my son's." The chief counselor turned to Marin. "Is this the human influence you fear, Counselor? Compassion without expectation of reward?" Before Marin could respond, the chamber doors burst open. A security team entered, escorting a Lumidian male in restraints. "Chief Counselor," the security leader announced, "we've apprehended Terran Vol attempting to upload more corrupted data to the medical network. He has confessed to acting under Counselor Marin's orders." All eyes turned to Marin, whose skin had paled dramatically. "This is, a misunderstanding." "The misunderstanding," Tara said, stepping forward to stand beside Jason, "is believing that diversity weakens us. Our research succeeded precisely because it combined human adaptability with Lumidian precision. Neither species could have developed these treatments alone. Jason nodded. Humans have a saying, 2 heads are better than 1, even when those heads look different from each other. A ripple of appreciative laughter moved through the gallery, breaking the tension. Even some council members smiled at the simple wisdom. The chief counselor rose. "Counselor Marin, you will be detained pending a full investigation. As for the matter of Jason Mercer and his place in our society," she paused, surveying the chamber. "I believe his actions speak for themselves. This council recognizes the value of his contributions and his right to remain among us." As the formal proceedings concluded, Jason and Tara found themselves surrounded by Lumidian families whose children had benefited from their treatments. Parents expressed gratitude while children gazed at Jason with unabashed curiosity. "You're really from Earth?" one small boy asked, his blue skin still showing the faint patterns of recent treatment. "Born and raised," Jason confirmed with a smile. "Is it true humans only live for 100 years? Another child inquired. "Give or take," Jason laughed. "Then you have to make every year count," the child concluded solemnly. Later, in the privacy of their quarters, Jason and Tara celebrated their victory in a more intimate fashion. The political threat had been neutralized, at least temporarily, and their work could continue. "You were magnificent today," Tara murmured, her fingers tracing patterns on Jason's chest as they lay together. "So very human." "I'll take that as a compliment," he replied, watching the luminescent waves that followed his touch across her violet skin. "It is." She propped herself up on one elbow, her silver hair cascading over her bare shoulder. "Your species approaches problems so differently from mine. Where we see protocols and precedents, you see possibilities and exceptions." Jason smiled, pulling her closer. "And where we sometimes rush in without thinking, you bring precision and depth." Their bodies fit together perfectly despite their physiological differences, a physical manifestation of the bridge they'd built between their worlds. In these private moments, cultural barriers dissolved, leaving only the connection they'd forged through years of working and growing together. "I've been thinking," Jason said as they lay entwined, basking in the afterglow of their intimacy, "about the future." "What about it?" Tara's skin pulsed with curious light patterns. "We've proven our treatment works, but it's still just treating symptoms. What if we could eliminate the fading entirely?" Tara's expression grew serious. "You're talking about genetic modification. That's forbidden under Lumidian law." "Laws can change," Jason pointed out, "especially when the alternative is watching children suffer." "You're proposing another battle after we barely won this one?" Tara asked, though her tone held more curiosity than objection. Jason smiled, tracing the luminescent patterns on her shoulder. "That's the human way. We're never satisfied with good enough when better is possible." Tara's answering smile contained equal parts exasperation and admiration. "And that, Jason Mercer, is why my people both fear and need yours." The grand atrium of the Vox estate had been transformed for the occasion. Bioluminescent flowers native to the Lumidian homeworld cascaded from floating platforms, their soft glow complementing the earth roses that Jason had specially imported. The blend of flora mirrored the union being celebrated, a harmonious meeting of two worlds that once seemed impossibly distant. "Nervous?" asked Thalen, approaching Jason as he adjusted the formal earth tuxedo he'd insisted on wearing, despite Tara's offer of traditional Lumidian ceremonial attire. "Terrified," Jason admitted with a laugh. 10 years on this station, and I still don't understand half your customs." Thalen's emerald features had aged gracefully in the decades since they'd first met. Silver streaks now ran through his once solid green complexion, the Lumidian equivalent of gray hair. Yet his posture remained commanding, his presence still formidable. "You understand the most important one," Thalen said, gesturing toward the gathering guests. "The value of connection?" The ceremony space filled with an eclectic mix of attendees. Lumidian dignitaries mingled with human diplomats. Scientists who had worked with Jason and Tara chatted with families whose children had been saved by their treatments. In one corner, a group of Lumidian children played with human toys Jason had introduced to the station, their laughter transcending any cultural barriers. Most meaningful to Jason was the presence of his parents, who had made the journey from Earth for the occasion. After years of video communications and occasional visits, they had come to accept their son's extraordinary life path. His mother dabbed at her eyes as she watched him, while his father engaged in animated conversation with a Lumidian elder, gesturing enthusiastically despite the language barrier. "I never imagined this future," Jason confessed to Thalen. "When I won that lottery ticket, I thought the train ride would be the most exciting thing that ever happened to me." Thalen's expression grew reflective. "When I offered you any wish your heart desired, I expected requests for wealth, technology, or passage to exotic worlds. Instead, you asked only to help our children. It seemed like the right thing to do. That simple human instinct changed everything." Thalen placed a formal hand on Jason's shoulder. "Not just for my son and the other children you've saved, but for our entire understanding of your species." The ceremonial chimes sounded, signaling the beginning of the union ritual. Jason took his position at the center of the atrium, his heart racing as the assembled guests formed a circle around the ceremonial space. When Tara entered, Jason's breath caught in his throat. She wore a gown that shimmered between violet and silver, designed to enhance her natural luminescence. Her silver hair was adorned with tiny earth flowers, a tribute to Jason's homeworld. But it was her expression, open, joyful, and completely unguarded, that moved him most deeply. The ceremony blended traditions from both worlds. They exchanged vows in both English and the melodic Lumidian language. They shared the ritual cup of unity, a Lumidian custom, followed by the human tradition of exchanging rings. Though Tara's was specially designed to complement her bioluminescent skin. When they sealed their union with a kiss, Tara's skin illuminated with such intensity that gasps of appreciation rose from the Lumidian guests. The human attendees applauded, some wiping away tears at the visible manifestation of their connection. The celebration that followed was as unique as their relationship. Earth music alternating with Lumidian harmonics, cuisine from both worlds shared among guests who might once have viewed each other with suspicion or fear. As the evening progressed, Thalen rose to offer a formal toast. The room quieted as he activated a small holographic projector. 10 years ago, he began, a human boy won a lottery ticket that brought him aboard a train where my pregnant wife was traveling. The hologram displayed the celestial voyager as it had appeared that day. When danger struck, this boy and this human acted without hesitation, breaking our protocols to save 2 lives. The hologram shifted to show the medical readouts from that day, then transitioned to images of their research breakthroughs over the years. What followed was a journey none of us could have predicted. A simple wish granted has blossomed into a legacy that will endure for generations. Thalen gestured to where his son Kieran, now a healthy 15-year-old, stood proudly among his friends. "My son lives because of Jason Mercer. Hundreds of our children thrive because 2 species dared to work together rather than apart." Thalen turned to face Jason and Tara directly. "Today we celebrate not just the union of 2 individuals, but the bridge they have built between our worlds." As the evening wound down, Jason and Tara slipped away to a private balcony overlooking the station's spectacular view of the stars. In the distance, the soft blue glow of Earth was visible, no longer Jason's only home, but still a part of who he was. "Happy?" Tara asked, her body fitting perfectly against his as they gazed at the cosmos. "More than I knew was possible," Jason replied, marveling at how the light of distant stars reflected in her luminescent skin. Their physical connection had only deepened over the years, each discovery about their biological differences becoming a source of fascination rather than division. "Your parents seem to have finally accepted me," Tara observed with a smile. "Your mother asked if our children would glow in the dark." Jason laughed. "What did you tell her?" "That we'd find out together." Her expression grew more serious. "The genetic therapy we've developed makes it possible now. Our children would be free from the fading." The thought of children, beings who would carry both their heritages, filled Jason with wonder. It had taken years of research, building on their treatment protocols, to develop the genetic modifications that would allow human and Lumidian DNA to combine successfully. The breakthrough had come only after they'd managed to change the restrictive Lumidian laws, a political victory as significant as their scientific one. "From lottery ticket to family man," Jason mused. "Not the future I expected when I was 15. Humans are wonderfully unpredictable, Tara said, tracing her fingers along his jawline in the way that still sent shivers down his spine after all these years. It's why we need you. As they returned to their celebration, Jason caught sight of Thalen standing alone, watching the gathered crowd with evident satisfaction. The once stern businessman had become something of a father figure to Jason over the years, his initial formality giving way to genuine affection. Jason approached him. "Thank you," he said simply, "for everything." Thalen shook his head. "It is I who must thank you, Jason Mercer. Your simple wish changed not just my family, but our entire society." His voice grew thick with emotion. Who would have thought that a human teenager could bring an old Lumidian to tears twice in one lifetime? As the celebration continued around them, Jason reflected on the extraordinary journey that had begun with a lucky lottery ticket and a chance encounter on a train. What had started as a simple act of helping someone in need had blossomed into a lifetime of purpose, love, and connection that spanned worlds. Some might call it destiny. Jason preferred to think of it as the best kind of human luck, being in the right place at the right time and having the courage to act.